Hello, everyone. Welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 334. Andrew here. Gonna pick up where we left off last week with video games. So, let me just. Why does the top of my webcam always get so damned dusty? Why does all the dust in my apartment accumulate right here every weekend? Weird. Okay, so last Saturday, I spoke about some of the games that caught my eye from the various video game pressers that I had seen up to that point, like the Summer Games Fest and the Cozy Games stream and the Guerrilla Games Collective stream. But since then, we've had several more pressers. Xbox had a presser; they actually had two. The PC Gaming Show happened. Ubisoft and Capcom had a presser. So, what I'm going to do today is talk about every video game that caught my attention for one reason or another. Even if it caught my attention for not the most flattering reason. Jared says, I thought the Yakuza teaser was funny. I did too. Oh, RGG had their own presentation too. I did too, and I'll get to that. It's definitely one of the games I'll talk about. So, all in all, I watched somewhere around 15 different streamed video game press events. All told, there was probably over 200 game trailers or game announcements that I watched. And I have, I think, 32 that I'm going to talk about, and I think it's about 19 that I was interested in some positive manner. So roughly 10% of the myriad games that were shoved in our faces over the last week, I found interesting in a positive way for one reason or another. And, you know, that's not too bad. Nice job, game industry. On that metric, you know the bad things you do. Oh yeah, I read the news. I know the shady shit you're up to. Alright, hey Lee. So, we're going to start with some stuff that we covered a little bit last week. First being Mortal Kombat 1. Is this a game I'm looking forward to playing myself? No. I like Mortal Kombat. I broadly like fighting games. I generally don't like playing them, though. I'm just not into actually playing fighting games. Even ones that you think I'd be totally into, like Super Smash Brothers, because, you know, big Nintendo dork. No. I love Smash Brothers. I love reading about Smash Brothers. Back when I think it was Melee, they had the whole Smash Dojo. I read that that website's updates. I love following all of the previews and all of the reviews and all of the new characters and all the weird and their special moves and the smash moves and the big floaty ball that does their special move. I love all that because I'm a big Nintendo and broader video game dork, and Smash Brothers is a celebration of video games, and that's the part of it I like. Do I want to play it? No. I really genuinely don't enjoy playing it at all. I don't enjoy playing most fighting games. In fact, I can't really think of any that I do. Mortal Kombat is one of my favorite fighting games. Why? The gore. I mean, the thing that makes it stand out is the thing that draws me to it. Am I really that interested in the lore? No, not particularly. But the characters are fun. The moves and the violence are just so amazingly, gleefully over the top that I genuinely enjoy watching it. The last several games, I think starting with Mortal Kombat 9, to Warner Brothers or whoever publishes it, their chagrin, I'm sure, probably would not. Do enjoy watching the story mode on YouTube. I essentially kind of watch a Mortal Kombat movie. I bet Warner Brothers and NetherRealm hate that, and I'm sorry, but I have no interest in actually playing your game. But I do like the game and the characters and the brutalities and the fatalities and all the other alities. And it's in that vein that I'm genuinely excited for Mortal Kombat 1. I'm not going to play it, not going to buy it either, but I'll definitely watch other people play it because it's just a lot of fun. Jared says, got some gameplay for games to talk about as well. Yeah, there of the 200 some odd trailers I saw, some of them had gameplay. Moving on. Prince of Persia: The Last Crown. New Prince of Persia game. Would have expected to see Ubisoft going back to the drawing board with the remake of Sands of Time, which they announced a couple of years ago, to not the most enthusiastic reception because it looked like charitably a remake that they'd made in 2014 and it just sat on a shelf for 7 or 8 years, right? So they're like, okay, yeah, it looks like butt, so we're going to work on that. And in the meantime, they brought out a completely different Prince of Persia. This one's called The Lost Crown, and unlike the Prince of Persia games that we've enjoyed, if we've enjoyed them, since Sands of Time, this is going back to the roots of Prince of Persia. It's actually a 2D game. Very Metroid Dread-esque. Not a bad thing. I loved Metroid Dread. In its aesthetic presentation, it does, it's a full 3D environment, but shot from the side, which allows the camera to do interesting zooms and angles when you do finishing moves and things like that. I mean, even the boss that they showed off is very similar to the first boss that you fight in Metroid Dread. It's a big monster thing with a scorpion tail that it tries to stick you with. Some interesting things about Prince of Persia is, unlike the previous Prince of Persia games, you are not actually the Prince of Persia. You're some dude. Your task is to, you're part of the Immortals, an elite fighting force. You're just some dude on the Immortals team. I don't know if that means you're literally immortal, but you're just some guy on the team. And your team is tasked with rescuing the titular Prince of Persia. So that's fun. It'll be interesting to see that if the Prince of Persia ends up actually being the prince that we know from the previous games, or if it'll be complete redesign. We'll see. Anyway, I didn't frame by frame the footage, but it looks like it has Prince of Persia might have a Metroid Dread-esque parry move also. Monster attacks, gets a little flashing light. If you hit the counter button at the right time, you smack them one, leave them dazed, and you can kill them real quick. Looks like something like that's there. So, one thing I would like to critique is during the initial presentation of Prince of Persia Sands of Time, they had a dude, Ubisoft's presentation of Prince of Persia, not Sands of Time, sorry, Lost Crown. They had a dude on a stage talking about the footage that we were seeing, which is fine, but here's the thing. Camera director. No one gives a shit about the narrator. Stop cutting to footage of the narrator narrating. We don't care. When there's gameplay, when there's any game footage at all, leave the camera on the direct feed of the game footage. Never, ever, under any circumstances, cut to the audience or the presenter. Because no one, literally no one, wants you to do that. There is not one, and I'm speaking in absolutes with great confidence, and I'm right to do so. Yes. There is not one person on the face of the earth who's watching the gameplay and thinking, I'd really like to see what the audience is doing right now. I'd really... Could we have an insert shot of the narrator narrating? That's what I'd like to see. Not the actual footage of the game I'm going to play. There's the narrator's handsome mug. Yeah. No one. No one. Not one. So... stop doing that. I have spoken. Okay. Prince of Persia looks really cool, and I'm excited. The Lost Crown specifically looks really cool. That's definitely one that I'm excited to play. I wish Ubisoft was a better company. Because I don't like giving Ubisoft money, but... It's tough, right? It's like, well, Ubisoft is a terrible company that facilitates and covers up abuse of its own employees. And I don't want to support that, but does it matter if I do or not? You individually? No, probably not. And it's up to you how you do. But I wish I didn't have to think about that. I mean, granted, for, very self-centered, selfish reasons, but also because I wish employees weren't taken advantage of and exploited and harmed. And when they are, I wish the companies would, levy appropriate consequences against the perpetrators of the harm. That'd be nice. I just want everyone to be safe, healthy, and happy. I'm funny like that. Cafe Fox says, looks good, I'll play. Yeah, it looks like a great game. Like a Dragon, Gaiden, the man who erased his name. So we saw a little bit more of this during the RGG Summit, Ryuga Gotoku Studios Summit. It's another Yakuza or Like a Dragon game. It looks good. This one seems to take place between Yakuza 6 and 7. And is going to fill in the gaps, what was Kiryu doing? Probably punching a bunch of dudes in the face is what I imagine he's doing. But one of the things he was doing is he seems to work for the Secret Service or a spy organization, because he's doing the whole suit and glasses and earpiece thing, and he's got this weird tether thing attached to maybe a wristwatch that he uses to latch onto people and fling them around. So instead of walking over to a traffic cone or a bicycle or a signboard to pick it up off the ground and smack people over the head, you can whip. I don't know why I'm doing the Spider-Man thing, but it's pretty similar to that. Throw out your little lasso cable thing, grab the signboard, yank it over, and bean people in the face with it. Looks fun. I've enjoyed all of the Yakuza games, even the zombie one, which I would not recommend as the first game in the franchise to play, but I would definitely recommend it if you're a fan of the franchise. It's actually fun. It is, sadly, a game type that the engine doesn't support. The frame rate does tank, and the controls are a little not great at times. It's a brawler. It wasn't meant to be a third-person shooter, and it feels like that. But it's still a Yakuza game, and it still has the fun and charm of that series, and I recommend it. I'd love them to do a Dead Souls Kiwami version. Same game, just pretty up the graphics, if you will, but fix the frame rate and the controls, and you've got a great game. Let's see. Jared says it will probably be 60 or so. So what's the problem? Yeah, most all these games are probably going to be 60. But most games, if they're not from Nintendo, drop in price fairly quickly. It's rare that you have to wait more than a month for a $60 game to drop to at least 50. So, next is a game called Bye Sweet Caroline. No, I'm sorry, not Caroline. Carol. Just Bye Sweet Carol. And you might be aghast because this trailer featured zero gameplay, and you know how prickly I get about that. But what they showed off was, it looks like a movie because all they showed off was a bunch of dark Disney animation. Very, very pretty, very fluid animation. It looks kind of like Disney in the 80s when it was kind of trying to react a bit to like Don Bluth. You know, American Tail, Secret of Nim, movies like that were definitely for children and definitely goofy in a lot of places, but also had a lot of creepy crap in it, right? And so Disney at the time would occasionally experiment in that area, Disney, but a little darker, and then you get things like The Black Cauldron, which is not good, but it's an interesting experiment. By Sweet Carol kind of reminds me of that. It looks like that era of Disney animation, but by way of, but a little bit dark. Also, All Dogs Go to Heaven. That kind of darker Don Bluth tone. So I'm a big fan of animation, so that I find appealing. And apparently it's a horror thriller game of some sort, and I love me my horror, so animated, check. Horror, check. What's the game? No idea. So at this point I'm not putting money down on it, but I'm certainly interested to see what the game actually is. So, good job by Sweet Carol. You may not have shown any gameplay, but you at least caught my attention in a somewhat positive manner, so good on ya. Next, we have a game that I don't remember how to pronounce, Ete, E-T-E, with an accent mark over both E's. This is an interesting one. Again, maybe not a game I'm actually going to purchase and play, but it definitely looked interesting. It's one of those games where you bring life back to the world, a la Okami, where you run around and bring, flowers and grass and make the trees better, and babbling brooks and stuff. You bring life back to the land. I love doing that in games. Another one that's similar, that's more similar to the game I'm speaking of, is Da Blob, where you have this grayscale black and white city, and you literally smack it with paint to bring color and vibrancy and fun and cheer and joy back to the city. Seems to be something similar here. You're a painter and you live in a grayscale, detailless city that's essentially just a graphite or charcoal outline of a city, and you use your magic paint powers to paint things in and bring life and joy back to the city. That's something that I generally enjoy in games, and one of the gameplay hooks of this is the objects that you end up painting go into your inventory. So if you paint a bicycle, you now have a bicycle in your repertoire of things you can paint. And there are people in the city that give you side quests. I'm making some educated guesses here. This wasn't entirely clear in the trailer, but what I'm taking away from it is you explore the city as you bring life back to it, and you talk to people, and they will give you side quests or requests, right? They'll say, I want you to paint me a specific picture, and you will have to use the items in your repertoire to create a portrait for them to fulfill their request. So, that's neat. And of course, I'm sure there's a free paint mode where you can just use all the stuff that you've painted and make whatever vignettes you want. It looks charming. It looks neat. I wouldn't say at this point that it's a must play or must buy, but I was charmed by it. I thought it looked pretty neat. Cafe Fox says, I'll make the argument that Secret of Nim wasn't really specifically for children. I'll tell you what, the podcast my sister and I do, Movie Mandates, October is Creeped Me Out as a Kid month. Secret of Nim is my mandated movie. Secret of Nim is the earliest example I can think of a film that creeped me out as a child. There was one specific moment. There's a lot of really creepy moments in Secret of Nim, but there was one that stuck in my brain when I was a little tyke, and that's why. So you won't see that until a couple months. That's in October, but we recorded that episode last week, and this upcoming week, my sister mandated a movie for Creep Me Out as a Kid month, and it's a good one. I'm looking forward to watching that later this week. I've seen it before, but yeah, it's fun going back and revisiting movies that usually it's not the entire movie. Usually it's a certain sequence or very specific thing in a movie that just hits you just right as a small child. Really interesting revisiting that stuff as an adult. Cafe Fox is my favorite Bluth film. Yeah, definitely up there, if not my favorite too. I'd have to pull up a list of Bluth films, but yeah, I'd put it above American Tail, All Dogs Go to Heaven. So yeah, not perfect. Well, watch the episode when it comes out in a few months. Anyway, back to video games. Vengeance of Mr. Peppermint. A fun title. So this looks like a gory version of River City Girls, which is a 2D pixel art side-scrolling brawler. It's based, as you can tell from the name, it's based on the River City franchise. A lot of fun. Same thing with Mr. Peppermint. It's 2D pixelated art, pixel art. I'm sorry, and it's a brawler. This one's just gory, and it's got a very old boy hallway hammer fight vibe to it. Probably because the suit and the hair, but looks really cool. So I think that one looks neat. I'm not huge on brawlers like Final Fight and stuff, but I do enjoy them occasionally. So, sometimes they just usually an aesthetic or a vibe will hit me just right. River City Girls is one of them, and I'll pick it up. So I haven't picked up the sequel though. I really should. I quite enjoyed River City Girls, so I'd like to play the sequel. And Vengeance of Mr. Peppermint looks pretty cool, and take the fun and over the top nature of River City Girls and add gore. Yeah, okay, you got my attention. Next is another game that I have no idea how it plays because they didn't show any gameplay whatsoever. It's called The Bookwalker, Thief of Tales. So no idea of the gameplay, but the conceit is that you have, for some reason, the power to enter likely public domain stories and steal stuff from the stories and bring it out into the real world. So, I don't know, Sherlock Holmes's violin or Dracula's cape. I don't know what you need any of this shit for, but apparently you have the power to hop into stories. I don't know if they're public domain stories or licensed stories or stories written specifically for the game, but your protagonist has the power to enter stories and steal items from the stories for some reason. That's an interesting premise. So you've got my attention. I'd dearly love to know how the gameplay. Now, this game, like Actually, I think the majority of the games that were shown over the last week has a demo on Steam. Almost all of them seem like a good 50-60% of the games seem to have a play a demo now on Steam. And I think Bookwalker was one of them. So I could actually go to Steam, I think, and see what the game looks like. Is it first person? Is it side scroller? Is it isometric? Is it 2D pixel art? Is it 3D? Is it a VR game? I have no idea. Missed opportunity there, but strong conceit got my attention. I'm interested in hearing more. So there you go. Cafe Fox says, I really like the idea of this game. Could be cool. Yeah. Not sure if you're talking about Mr. Peppermint or Etty or Bookwalker, because we've got a little bit of a delay. But yeah. Next, another game I talked about last week, Lake Season's Greetings. Now, this is the DLC for a little indie game where you play a woman who takes over for your dad, I think, as a mail carrier in some little lakeside town for a few weeks. And I played the demo, and I found it to be quite a fun and charming little game. And I was really interested. I found it quite amusing that the trailer for the DLC opened with essentially a helicopter shot flying over the lake and seeing the town. I'm like, well, that looks familiar. Is that game with the mail carrier? It's like, oh my god, it is. I actually recognized it. So I found that novel. I've since learned that... I thought it was weird because you're not playing as her. You're playing as some dude, so I guess that's her dad, and takes place later. I guess he came back to the job. This is actually apparently a prequel. And yes, the dude is her dad or uncle or whoever the hell she fills in for in the main game, but this actually takes place before her arrival. So, neat. I don't have the original game, so I'm not going to play this, but yeah, it's cool. Jared says it looks like a top-down puzzle mystery-looking game. Bookwalker does, huh? Oh, okay. And Cafe Fox was talking about Bookwalker. Yeah, it's a neat conceit. I like the idea of jumping into various books and exploring their worlds to steal stuff for some reason. And maybe you can use the stuff you've obtained in other books, from other books, in your current story. So, you can use Dracula's cape turns you into a bat, and you can use that in the Sherlock Holmes book to fly or turn invisible or something. Who knows? They didn't show any gameplay, so I have no damn idea. Let's see. Next is Little Guardsman. This is, from what I can tell, it's Papers, Please. Just with a cartoony aesthetic and humor. But a cartoony aesthetic and humor that I found attractive and appealing. So, no idea if it would be as good or better or worse than Papers, Please. Definitely is taking its inspiration from that. But, I thought it looked neat. So, let's see. Next is Noun Town, which is not a game. It's a piece of edutainment software, but I thought it was a kind of interesting approach to language learning software. Noun Town, as you can probably imply from the name of the game, attempts to teach you other languages, apparently a wide variety of other languages, Spanish, Japanese, Korean, and so on, by giving you an RPG-esque world to play in, where you talk to various characters and fulfill their requests. Of course, in order to do that, you have to figure out what the hell they're talking about, so you have to learn the various nouns so that you know what item you're supposed to get them or take from them or buy from them or something. It's a neat approach. Don't know how effective it is, but it was definitely novel, and among the pantheon of side-scrolling brawlers and cozy farm sims, this was the only edutainment title, I think. I think it might be the only Yeah, I think it's the only edutainment title I saw, so it stuck out, and yeah, hopefully it works for whoever uses it. Visually, not particularly attractive, but it's they're certainly taking a serious swing at it. So good on them. Let's see. Stray Gods. I talked about this at length last week. This is that musical narrative adventure game. I'll reiterate again my concern. I like musicals, big into music, love singing, and this is a musical. We've heard some of the songs. Compositions sound great, melodies are catchy, the singing seems solid. But the hook of the game is like a Telltale game where you have dialogue option, or Mass Effect, or whatever you want, where a character talks to you and you get to, or Disco Elysium, you get to choose how you respond. In Stray Gods, you get to choose how you sing back. I don't know if it's only the lyric you sing back with, or if you can change the genre of music you're singing, or at least the feeling and tone of the song. Switch it from major to minor key, that kind of thing, to change the feeling, the timbre of it. I don't know, because while they've been marketing this game for a year and a half or more, they've, so far as I've seen, never shown off this functionality at all. To their credit, they've shown off some of the music, and it seems to be very, very strong. But they haven't shown one example of making a choice. And that concerns me. What are you hiding? We'll see. That's definitely one I will keep my eye and ear on. Get it? Because music, haha. Alright. Jared says, good thing about the man who erased his name is that Steam listed as... Oh, hey! Jared says that the new Yakuza game, the man who... Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, is listed as $49.99 on Steam. Just for me. Well, thanks, RGG. now, localize Yakuza Kensan. Thank you very much for bringing us Ishin. I know I've been bitching about that for a decade. Now bring us the other one. Bend to my desires. Fulfill my ever whim. Every whim, not ever whim. Anyway. Where was I? Next, we have Demon Spore. This is a top-down, looks like twin-stick shooter. You are a laboratory worker. You're a dude or dudette in a lab coat, and you are in an underground, or, well, who knows if it's underground, but you're in a lab where science is being done. And the science is a big goo monster that is rapidly multiplying and gets loose. What appeals to me about this particular title is, normally with these type of twin-stick shooters, it's a very rah-rah, machine gun, shotgun, blow up everything, explosions, rah, kind of a feeling. This one has a very, oh shit, kind of a feeling to it. You do have a laser gun and a shotgun and all kinds of guns that you're shooting at the rapidly multiplying goo monster. But you're also spending a lot of your time like pushing furniture in front of you to try and keep the monster at bay, and throwing yourself through windows and stuff to get out of the room. It's got a very... I'm really enjoying that panicky vibe to it. It's got a nice, unique feeling in that way that I'm really enjoying. So, interested in seeing more of that one. Chaos, hello, says, it seems like the new Like a Dragon not getting a physical release is limited to North America, so importing an EU version is a possibility. Oh yes, someone mentioned that earlier. I don't I don't think that was actually brought up during the RGG stream. Wouldn't not terribly surprising. That was a very Japan focused presentation. So if Japan's getting a physical release, it would not surprise me that that would not be brought up. But yeah, it's a bummer, man. I like putting stuff on my shelf. But if the game releases digital only, I'll get it digital only. I have Yakuza 5 digital only because that's how it was released here back in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there. They have since released a Yakuza Remastered collection, which I think is the third, fourth, and fifth game, which had a physical release. So if I really, really wanted a physical copy of Yakuza 5, I could get one, but already bought it digitally years ago, so. Where are we, Demon Spore? Next is On Guard. Oh, good R roll, Andrew. So this is a swashbuckler adventure where you buckle swashes with some very Errol Flynn-esque swagger. You are running around. You've got a rapier, the Zorro sword, and you ha ha, you scallywags, on guard! Rob the rich and give to the poor. Maybe it's got a nice. I like the feeling. It's got a nice vibe. It seems fun. No idea if it plays well, but I'm digging its attitude. We need more swashbuckling. Next is The Spirit of the Samurai. This is just interesting. It's another 2D adventure, possibly a Metroid-like game. Not terribly sure, but the selling point of this game is its presentation, which it uses a very dark and creepy, similar to Little Nightmares. Is that the game called? The little gal in the raincoat. That's called Little Nightmares, right? Correct me in the chat if I've got the name wrong. But that kind of dark and creepy. What's the word I'm looking for? Locations, and character design with a stop motion aesthetic. So it's really visually striking, and it seems to have three main characters: a samurai, a little glowing alien dude, and a kitty with a big head, very short legs and body, just big head on this kitty, but a kitty nonetheless. So could be fun. It's certainly an attractive looking game. I like the stop motion aesthetic. So maybe it'll be a cool game. Kind of a generic title, Spirit of the Samurai. It's not a title that's probably going to stick in my head well, but next we have Cookie Cutter. I think this is probably the game I'm most interested in playing for some reason. I don't know, this one just really spoke to me. Another 2D Metroid-like. It's got really attractive, cartoony graphics and animation, and it stars a very pissed off android. It's got a very over the top vibe to it. Almost in this, it's very colorful and ostentatious and extravagant in the vein of like Lollipop Chainsaw. So imagine that colorful exuberance of Lollipop Chainsaw, only Juliet, I think it was her name, instead of being having fun and letting all the horror just kind of roll off her back, she's just very, very angry. I'm really digging the thing I think that's sticking out to me about Cookie Cutter is, one, I like 2D Metroid games. It's very attractive art and animation, but I'm really digging the the vibe, the feeling, the anger of this game, because she is the protagonist star. I think her name is Cherry, if I'm remembering right. She's just very, very pissed off. She's very angry, and that comes across in the way the character is animated, both in like her run cycle and her attacks. And as an angry person, if you watched the Sunday stream last week, you saw some of that, sadly. That speaks to me. I just like, yeah, Cherry, I feel you, kiddo. I don't know what you're angry about. Maybe nothing. Lord knows that my rage is sometimes completely unmotivated, which sucks and pisses me off. Vicious cycle, being an angry person. Stars in the Trash. This is a 2D animated adventure. Seems kind of point and click style adventure. But it's some very, looks hand drawn, very attractive art and animation. And it stars a kitty. So, yeah, you got me. Put a kitty in it, and you've got my attention. I mean, I watched Bringing Up Baby a couple nights ago, a film from the 30s. Why did I watch it? Am I a big fan of Cary Grant? Well, yeah, Cary Grant is very, very funny, and I like a lot of his movies. Big Katharine Hepburn fan. I've seen several of her films, and she's great, but can't say she's a huge draw of mine. No, it's because there was a kitty in it. There's a kitty in it. I gotta watch this. And it's also got Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn. So, hey. Pretty decent flick. I enjoyed it. And not just because it had a kitty in it. Although that was definitely part of it. And Jared says, what? You don't like bad game design? Not generally, no. No, I tend to be quite critical of bad game design. I do attempt, don't always succeed, but when I'm critical of anything, movies, video games, whatever, music, books, whatever, I try, don't always succeed, sometimes fail, but I do try not to be an asshole about it. I recognize that whatever I watched or read or played or listened to that didn't connect with me is something that at least one, probably a whole slew of people worked really hard on and were passionate about and wanted to be great. And I always try and keep that in mind when I'm critiquing something, particularly something that I didn't like. Actual people with feelings worked on this. So I always try and at least keep that in mind when critiquing stuff, because I think there's value in pointing out how and why something doesn't work for you. But I also think doing it in a way that's not hurtful or mean is the preferable way of doing it. And hopefully I succeed more at that more often than I fail. So, all right, moving on. That's all the stuff from last week. Moving on to some of the new stuff. The Xbox presser was Sunday morning, I believe. And boy, they started out strong. They started out with 3 movie trailers. And I watched these movie trailers, and I said, wow, these are cool trailers for movies, and I would really like to see these movies. These movies, which I just saw trailers for, look super. And I'm looking forward to seeing these movies whenever they came out. Oh? What's that? Video games? Are you sure? Are you sure these weren't movie trailers? Because there was no gameplay in any of them. Are you sure? Okay. Well, apparently what I watched, the trailer for Fable, South of Midnight, and Star Wars Outlaws are not movies, in fact, but are video games. Now, you couldn't tell from the trailers because there is no gameplay in any of them. But despite that regrettable fact, they were pretty good trailers. I'll give them that. I mean, I came out of them going, yeah, I'd watch that movie. I know it's a game trailer, but am I looking forward to these games? I don't know. Well, Star Wars, that's a Ubisoft game, so they showed some actual gameplay during their presser. Fable, has a dude who is narrating. Is like, these do-gooder heroes, blah 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 blah. They're kind of a pain in the ass. I'm the real hero because, I grow veggies in my garden, and, providing pumpkins and zucchini for people to eat is much more valuable. And then the hero, who's kind of got the same swashbuckler attitude as the gal from On Guard, shows up, and our narrator turns out to be, I guess, the giant from Jack and the Beanstalk, and she's Jack. Nice twist. Didn't see that coming, although it is foreshadowed with the giant veggies. I'm like, wow, that's a sweet trailer. Peter Molyneux didn't have anything to do with this, right? Lionshead Studios gone now, I think, right? Okay, so I'm sure it's fine. Whatever the gameplay is, I'm sure it's fine. Cool trailer, though. Yeah. South of Midnight, another one that's just very cool. Another one, like, see, I already forgot the name. Way of the Samurai or something? The Spirit of the Samurai. Like the Spirit of the Samurai, South of Midnight also has a stop-motion aesthetic to it. You've got this zombie-looking dude playing a guitar, strumming the blues, and you have some perky gal show up and say, "Hey, strummy blues man, have you seen the monster on this piece of paper?" And it's like a child's sketch of a monster going rawr, which is the first subversion, which is pretty neat. And then, of course, Monster shows up behind her, and she's like, "Oh my!" And the next twist is the camera pans out, and the noodling blues dude is actually significantly larger than her, like 4 times her size. It's probably something like, 25 feet tall or something like that. I have no idea what the game is, but I enjoyed the trailer. I like the character design. I like the vibe. I like the stop-motion presentation. I'd watch that movie. Maybe they'll show us a game at some point. No idea what the game... No idea what even genre it is. Is it a first-person shooter? Is it a strategy tactics game? VR game? Narrative adventure? Puzzle game? Dating sim? No idea, because they didn't show any gameplay. But it was a neat trailer, so... Star Wars Outlaws. Again, neat trailer. And one thing I particularly liked, no lightsabers or Jedi. So that's a plus. As of the Ubisoft show, we've actually seen some gameplay, and it's an adventure game. You play not Dash Rendar, I forget her name, Susan, and you've got a cute little animal that's not a cat, but it is cute. That's a sidekick, and you've got a sassy robot, and you've got your own ship, and you shoot at people with your blaster, and ride speeder bikes, and you pilot your ship, and shoot TIE fighters, and it's Star Wars-y. Could be cool. That first trailer, though, had no gameplay in it. So it looked like a neat movie. But having seen gameplay, yeah, looks like it could be good. Let's see. That poor giant, says Jared. Yeah. He's sitting there, it's like, everyone, it's like... He's like, why won't anyone pay attention to my giant veg? I'm feeling so left out. I recognize that that character too. That character is definitely modeled on an actor I've seen before, and I don't remember his name. He's got an interesting name. I'm not going to think of it though. The other protagonist, the smaller one who ends up on his table, I didn't recognize her. I don't know if she's modeled after anyone. He definitely is, and I don't remember the name. It's kind of an odd thing that they've been doing recently. The protagonist in Star Wars Outlaws is actually modeled after the character, the woman who is doing the voice and motion capture. It's an odd choice. I don't know why they do that. I mean, you have the opportunity to design your own character, and instead you're just basing it on the actor doing the voice and or physical performance. Why? I don't know. Hey, Chicago. Chaos says, Fable is made by PlayStation, Playground Games, rather, the makers of Forza Horizon. Which was really well... Forza Horizon was the open-worldy one, which was quite well received. So, yeah. Peter Molyneux was not a honest person, and I'm glad that he's no longer in the industry lying about stuff. I don't know if he was one of those, like, physically abusive people to his, or like to his staff or anything, but the guy was not a great person, just a constant liar about things, and well, that's a turnoff. So hopefully Fable will turn out great. I hope every game turns out great, even the ones I'm not personally interested in. Next, we've got Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, which I have no interest in. Microsoft Flight Simulator bores the shit out of me. I know some people just really find that game enthralling and even relaxing in like a meditative Zen way, and that's totally cool. Game bores the shit out of me. It's technically really interesting, but I don't care. I was interested to see, however, and that's the reason I'm talking about this, Flight Simulator 2024, which comes out in 2024. I found that really funny. When they splash up the title card, they're like, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Fade in, coming 2024. I'm like, well, I should hope so. Anyway, the thing that caught my attention about Microsoft Flight Simulator is they actually added a game to the game. There's actually stuff to do in the game now. Like, depending on what vehicle you're flying, like, if you're flying a crop duster, you gotta go dust crops. If you're flying a, like an ambulance a hospital helicopter, you gotta go, like, airlift someone out of the bottom of the Grand Canyon and fly them over to a hospital or something. You may have to transport cargo from point A to point B through a storm or something. I'm like, oh, hey, gameplay in a game! Cool! Still have really no interest in it, but I hope that doesn't take away what everyone liked about Microsoft. I can totally imagine a lot of people who are big fans of Microsoft Flight Simulator looking at 2024 and going, "Oh man, why'd you have to go and put all that garbage into the game for?" What I liked about it is no quests and people telling me to do stuff. I just got to get in my plane and fly. That's all I wanted from my game. Oh man, how awful would that be if this actually ends up disappointing the masses who really like this game? I hope not. I hope they love it, but I was happy to see gameplay in the game. That's a me thing, though. Jared says 33 co-op game looking cool. Oh, that's the 33 Warriors, 33 Immortals, 33 something. I know it's not on my list, but I know which one you're talking about. I'm not a co-op person, so that one didn't really speak to me, but yeah, could be neat. Let's see. Chicago says you don't want to search and rescue using choppers, drop off cargo, or any of the other gimmicks. I mean, I might, but I don't know if fans of Flight Simulator, what people liked about Flight Simulator is it didn't have things like that in it. I don't know if these gameplay additions are intrusive to fans of the game. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. Let's see. Chicago says it'd be hilarious if it gets pushed back to 2025. Yeah, it's like, do we have to call it Flight Simulator 2025 now? I don't know. Let's see what's next. Oh, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. So this is the essentially Yakuza 8. This is, from what I understand, also the RPG one, not a brawler, but a turn-based RPG like Yakuza 7 or in the States, so Yakuza Like a Dragon. This one stars Kasuga and Kiryu with a bad haircut. So I guess they both have bad haircuts, though. Although Kasuga makes his work. Kiryu, well, he's supposed to be dead, so I guess he's trying to make sure no one recognizes him. And yeah. They still haven't shown any gameplay, but they did show an extended, two cutscenes. One was the Kasuga washes up naked on a foreign beach, and it's very Austin Powers-esque, where there's always some object in the foreground obscuring his nudity. It's a funny scene. I'm a fan. Yeah, they didn't show any gameplay, but I mean, we're a dozen games in. I know how these play. Although I am very interested to see how they've improved the RPG aspects of this series, because Yakuza Like a Dragon, Yakuza 7, was quite good, but it definitely had room for improvement, and I'm really interested to see how they've improved the turn-based battle system in this game. So, looking forward to that. Next, we've got Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, which is a Capcom game, and no idea really what's going on, but it's very colorful. It's got some wonderful creature design. Capcom is one of the best in the business when it comes to creature design, and it's got dancing in it. It's just so lovely to see. It seems like a actiony, probably have to hit things in the face with a stick kind of a game. But what I love is how unabashedly, vibrantly colorful this game is. It looks neat. So, excited to learn more. Chicago's never played a Yakuza like a Dragon game. If you want to try it out, I would recommend Yakuza 0 as a great entry point. It's chronologically the first one in the series. I guess if you ignore Ishin, which isn't in continuity technically anyway. So, it's the earliest chronologically of the Kiryu story. I think it can be had for like $20. It's very well done. It's not overly complicated. I mean, you start with like Yakuza 4 or 5, and that one switches between 4 and 5 characters respectively. Yakuza 0 switches between 2 characters, and it switches between them every chapter, or every other chapter, one of the two. So it's much better. The pacing is a lot better than like 4 and 5, which you spend the first in 4 you spend the first quarter of the game playing as Akiyama. Then you spend the next quarter of the game playing as Saejima. Then the third one is whatever that guy's name was, the detective who we'd never seen again. And then the fourth one you play as the fourth quarter you play as Kiryu. Fifth one is the same way. So the pacing can be kind of weird. But I think Yakuza 0 is probably the best entry point. Definitely don't start with Dark Souls. I'm sorry, not Dark Souls. Dead Souls, the zombie. Don't start with the zombie one. So 0 would be my recommended entry point for new people who are new to the franchise. Let's see. Did it get a launch window? Asked Jared. If you mean Yakuza 8 or Infinite Wealth, or I'm sorry, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, no, they just said early 2024. Which, so I would assume that means by the end of the fiscal year, so by March 31st would be my guess. Capcom's been stepping up their game, pun intended. Chicago says Yakuza 0, got it. Hope you enjoy it. I love the series. Now we've got Persona 5 Tactica, which is Persona 5, but a XCOM tactics kind of a game with a very same vibrant, colorful style that Persona 5 is known for, but in a very chibi presentation as far as the characters go. Now, as most of you know, I didn't really care for Persona 5. I found I really loved the style. I really loved the dungeon the palace exploration and the combat, but all the slice of life stuff I found pretty dull. I'm interested in trying out Strikers at some point. Maybe that's... I like the characters, I like the story, I like the world, I like the presentation. I just didn't like half of the game. So maybe Strikers is more my speed. You know, the same presentation and characters and story and all that cool stuff, but actual gameplay that's more my speed. Because I've liked the Muso games I've played when they're using an IP I care about, like Zelda, for example, or Dragon Quest. I'm generally not that into tactics games like XCOM. I mean, I played, for example, I lost interest in the Mario plus Rabbids game halfway through. I don't know if I tried Persona 5 Tactica, if I'd feel the same way. If I'd just kind of tire of it halfway through. I don't know, but it's a neat adaptation of that cast of characters, so could be neat. Let's see. Chicago says, I'm still playing Persona 3 Portable. I've never played it before and I'm really enjoying it. Oh, well, they're remaking it, but the remake doesn't include... Well, the remake is just of 3. It doesn't include the stuff that was added to Portable or the other version, the name of which I forget. Which is a shame. But, yeah, there is a Persona 3 remake coming out, which looks pretty. Don't know if it's not on my list. Don't know if I'm interested in it because I'm a little hesitant because of how I reacted to Persona 5. So, all right, moving on to the PC gaming show, we have Ebenezer and the Invisible World, which is a Metroid-like A Christmas Carol. So take Ebenezer Scrooge from The Christmas Carol and put him in a Metroid-like. And, okay. I mean, the game looks pretty bog standard, but I like the concept. He seems to be able to harness the powers of the various ghosts of Christmas whatevers. He seems to have more than 3. So that seems to be his upgrade he's harnessing. I'm guessing this is post A Christmas Carol, and now he has to save London or Tiny Tim or everybody. I don't know what the hell he's doing. I think as I said, the game looks pretty bog standard as far as these 2D Metroid-like games go. I think but I really do like the concept of Ebenezer Scrooge and the ghosts go on an adventure. I think some additional context might put this one over the top. We'll see. Next we have Mariachi Legends, which another 2D Metroid-like. Again, this one looks like Guacamelee, if you've ever seen that. Very definitely taking its cues from Mexican culture and mythology for its looks like it, the story lore, its characters, its presentation, its music, and for some reason it's narrated in Japanese, which was really weird. But the setting's neat, the characters are neat. Would need to see more, but looks like it could be cool. Uh, we're absolutely lousy with Metroid likes, aren't we? Um, Hidden Door. Okay, this one I don't think looks good at all, but it's interesting enough to talk about. So we're already after 8. Well, we're coming up to the end. I only have like 8 more. Hidden Door it's a tabletop role-playing game that uses an AI, a generative text interface, as the game master. It also generates storybook-like visuals to go along. So you get a paragraph of text, and you have to decide what you do. And then the iterative AI game master writes something. It continues the campaign. So it's a neat idea. It seems to be the game developers seem to be working with various authors to license the worlds of these myriad authors' stories for use as potential campaigns in the Hidden Door video game. So that's neat. Might get some authors some additional exposure. That's cool. So yeah, I'd like to know more. However, the presentation, I actually paused it and read what was there, and the writing is not good, as you would expect from an AI. It's an interesting use of the tech, if it actually is using AI and is not just completely canned. I would believe them and say that the game master is actually an AI of some sort, because the writing's really bad. So that's not great, but it's an interesting idea. And hey, as long as they're not, stealing stuff from other people, I don't mind trying new things with tech. Let's see. Mark, hello, says, have never played these sort of games. Do you ever play them in live chat? You make them sound fun. If you're talking about Metroid-like games, have I ever done I think I played Hollow Knight on one of the Sunday streams. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did Hollow Knight once. So I have before, not often. Tomorrow we're going to finish up Trauma Team and then return to... I have a special stream early tomorrow morning to finish up Trauma Team, hopefully with less F-bombs. And then at noon, the regular time, we'll return to Trails from Zero, which is an RPG if you're not familiar with the game. But yeah, I genuinely enjoy Metroid and Metroid-like games. Yeah, Hollow Knight's the only one that comes to mind as one I've actually played on stream before, though. So if you want to search Andrew Eisen Hollow Knight, you can probably find it if you're interested in checking it out. Or you can a lot of people stream that games such as that. So yeah. I played. Speaking of Metroid, the last charity event, this last year's Extra Life charity event. No, wait, was it this year or the year before? No, it was the year before, the previous year, 2021. I played Metroid Dread. That was the main game I played during the charity event. So, Metroid Dread is definitely a Metroid-like. So, yeah, I have before. Cool. All right, so let's see, what's next? Oh, My Friendly Neighborhood. So, this is a first-person puppet shooter. If you remember the movie that came out fairly in the last couple of years, the Happy Time Murders, the conceit of that film is It's kind of like Roger Rabbit, where the conceit is animated characters are real and exist in the real world. Well, puppets, like, Kermit the Frog and the other Muppets, are not puppets that sit on people's hands. They're actual living beings that walk around and are cast in, children's shows and stuff like that. And someone gets killed, and so detectives have to figure out who pulled the fluff out of whoever the hell got dead. So that's that world. This game, My Friendly Neighborhood, is that conceit. Puppets exist in the real world as autonomous beings, and this is a first-person shooter where some weird stuff is going on, and you're going to have to shoot you some puppets in the face. So I have no idea if the game's going to be any good or not, but I like the conceit. So I'll definitely look forward to more. So, all right, moving on to Ubisoft. Here's a game I have no interest in. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. So you might be asking, Andrew, if you have no interest in playing this game, why are you bringing it up? Really, because I just wanted to point out that if you've seen the Avatar movies, the Na'vi, the blue cat alien things, are like 9 or 10 feet tall, so they're much bigger than humans. And they're the good guys, and the regular humans are the bad guys. So what I found really interesting about Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora is the first-person shooter elements were really novel to me because you're fighting dudes who are half your size. Now, I imagine you probably see something along those lines in the Mercenaries mode of Resident Evil Village when playing as Lady Dimitrescu, but I don't play Mercenaries, so I never played that. I imagine that was pretty novel, too, kicking the crap out of people half your size. So while I have no interest in the Avatar video game, I did find the first-person shooter segment where you have all these little dudes running around pretty novel. And Assassin's Creed Mirage, another game I have absolutely zero interest in. So, why am I bringing it up? Only because I found it really funny that the characters keep putting their hoods up and taking their hoods down, but they always do it between camera cuts or just as they're walking off of camera, because animating cloth to go over a head without like clipping and being weird looking is really hard to do. So there's like at least 3 instances of the characters putting their hoods up or taking it down just as they walk off frame or just as the camera cuts, and I found that really amusing and wanted to share that with you lovely people. Capcom. Pragmata. I don't think I have ever seen any company be so apologetic about a video game ever. Not even whoever the hell is working on Duke Nukem Forever. Pragmata was first announced several years ago. It was announced for, I think originally 2022, and it slipped into this year, and it's slipping into at least next year, if not 2025. So their entire trailer for Pragmata was essentially an apology for the game is still not ready. It's so not ready, we're still not being shown any gameplay. And I'm like, Capcom, buddy old pals, you've never shown any gameplay. No one has any idea what the game even is, so no one cares that much. It's really difficult to be excited for a game that we know nothing about. I mean, you're a dude, and you seem to be protecting a little robot girl, and there's a cat, which is cool. So you've got my attention. There's a kitty in it. You seem to like protect the little robot girl from the robots, but first person, third person, shooter, brawler, RPG, tactics, dating sim. Don't know. You've never said anything. So I appreciate the apology, but I don't think you need to feel that bad. Game development's hard. It takes a long time. And you've never shown us anything about the game. So it's okay, Capcom. You put down the cat o' nine tails. You don't need to flog yourself any harder, Jesus. It's okay. I just found that very funny. And where's the cat, by the way? I noticed the cat wasn't in this new trailer. There's still a cat in it, right? Even a ghost cat. Keep the cat. All right. All right, we're almost done. Because I saw a couple trailers from IGN that didn't seem to be part of any of the other shows. One is called Horses. No idea how it plays, but it seems to take place on a horse farm. But the horses are naked dudes in horse masks. Well, that's weird. Okay, you've got my attention. You don't have my pre-order or anything, but yeah, okay, that's weird enough to make me go, what is this? Have I played Hi-Fi Rush? That has a cat. Oh, you're right, it does have a cat. I have not played it, no, but it's certainly a rhythm action game, is from what I understand. I've not played it, but it's certainly visually attractive. I'll give it, and it has a cat in it. And lastly, Squirrel with a Gun. Oh, I missed one. Well, there's one more after Squirrel with a Gun. So Squirrel with a Gun looks like Goat Simulator, except it's a squirrel with a gun. Looks cute. Looks purposefully janky, like Goat Simulator. But what really still sells it is it has its own theme song, being a very James Bond pastiche. You know, it's the trailer at least is worth a watch. So, will the game be any fun? I have no idea. If you enjoy Goat Simulator, it looks like the same kind of game. So, me personally, I'm not really into games that are purposefully janky. Like, it can be cute for like an hour, maybe, but after a while, like, that was the brilliance of. What's the one with the octopus? Is it Octodad? I think that's what it's called. Octodad. The game's really only like an hour long. It doesn't over. The joke is it controls like garbage, which is funny, and the game's only like an hour long, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. So that's fine. Okay. Lastly, Ace Attorney Apollo Justice Trilogy. Now, I have all of the Ace Attorney games, so this isn't for me. But what I wanted to point out was the Apollo Justice Trilogy. Really, Capcom? That's a stretch. I mean, he's in all three games. Really, this is just... They released a Ace Attorney collection a year or two ago. That was the first 3 games in the series. This is the next 3 games. This is 4, 5, and 6. And they're just calling it... They're just branding it the Apollo Justice Trilogy, which is not untrue, but as I said, it is a stretch. Apollo Justice is arguably the protagonist of the 4th game, but definitely not the protagonist of the 5th or the 6th game. He's in them. I mean, he is definitely the protagonist of the 4th, but not the 5th and 6th. He's in them. He's co-lead. So, yeah, the Apollo Justice Trilogy is a stretch. I don't care. I'm not offended. It's fine, but I did find it pretty funny. Octopath Traveler. Oh, yeah, Octodad, yeah. Okay, so that's... those are all the games that stuck out to me for one reason or another. Tell me in the chat about the ones that tickled your fancy. So, tomorrow... oh, hey, happy Juneteenth Eve. Tomorrow's Juneteenth, and the Sunday stream is at noon. We're going to play Trails from Zero. Hopefully we'll get to go to Mishyland. I'm sure we'll get there at some point. Maybe not this chapter, but surely one chapter before the game. Hopefully we don't have to wait till Trails from Reverie to get to Mishyland. There's a prediction for Brian's spreadsheet. We'll get to Mishyland at some point in this game. So we'll play Trails from Zero at noon. However, at 10 a.m., we're going to play. We're going to finish up Trauma Team. There are, including that last the level I rage quit on last. Rage quit. Yeah, quit is the past tense. Rage quit on last week. I'm going to play it early in the morning up to that point so we don't have to waste time exploring the lungs. And I'm just going to leave the game running until it's time to stream. And there's only 2 more stages after that, and neither of them are the Diagnostician or the Naomi segment. So we should be able to finish the game in an hour and a half. And hopefully with far less F words this time. I do apologize for losing my temper. But as a perfectly mediocre dude who celebrates clearing a very low bar, I would like to brag about, even though I lost my temper and dropped a bunch of F-bombs at something as silly as a video game, I didn't hurl any, racial epithets or other slurs. Yay me! I didn't throw my controller at the television and break things. Yay me! Pat myself over the back for clearing that low damn bar. But yeah, sorry I had to subject you to my multiple F-bombs directed at a video game for children. I'm sorry. That's embarrassing and I feel bad for losing my temper. I'm still irritated, though. Wait, tomorrow's Juneteenth Eve? I thought tomorrow was Juneteenth. Isn't the 18th Juneteenth? Let me check. Pretty sure Sunday is Juneteenth. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me look. Juneteenth 2023. Monday, June 19th. Huh. Oh, well, poop. I was totally wrong. Well, okay, happy Juneteenth Eve. Yeah. There you go. For some reason, I thought it was on Sunday, and it's Juneteenth, as most of you know, I'm sure, is now as of 2021, is now a recognized federal holiday here in the States. And I'm lucky enough, and I hope you are too, to actually get Monday off. But for some reason, I had it in my head that Sunday was Juneteenth and we were just taking Monday off. But no, it's the 19th. So, oops. So, happy Juneteenth Eve. We'll celebrate Juneteenth Eve tomorrow with less profanity, hopefully, as we finish up Trauma Team. And then continuing on with Trails from Zero. So, thank you for the correction, Chicago. All right, that's it from me tonight. Happy gaming and stuff to all of you. Make sure you eat your dinner and vegetables and enjoy a light dessert. Don't go crazy with the dessert. I mean, just because you can finish an entire gallon of ice cream doesn't mean you should. Yeah. It's not to say I did consume an entire gallon of ice cream at any point in the recent past. I'm not saying I did that. I could. I've got the stomach to pack away a lot of junk food. But, I exercise some self-control sometimes. I did eat like a pound of fruit sours the other day. They were really good. I mean, it doesn't look... I mean, it was just like that much. It was like 2 heaping scoops out of the bulk bin from Sprouts. And it's just a little bit. But yeah, it weighed in at about a pound. Yeah, that's just pure sugar. I essentially, Thursday or Friday or something, I ate an entire pound of sugar. And I regret nothing. I'm rambling. So, did I look at the guide to see how close I was to finish it? Says Jared about Trauma Team. Yes, I did. So, the level I rage quit was the third from the last. So, there's only two more after that. I think there's another. I think this penultimate one is another endoscopy procedure. So, it's Tomoe again. And the last one is a surgery with patient SR 537, whatever the hell his name is. So I'm hoping we are able to finish the game in an hour and a half. That seems doable. So that's the plan. Sunday is Father's Day. Oh, okay, good to know. So if y'all have living fathers and they're not and they deserve well wishes from you, then make sure to do so. So happy Father's Day Eve, happy Juneteenth Eve, and hope to see some of you in the morning. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.